All right, let's open up our meeting here. It's gonna be short and sweet. Is that when to start on?
Just like Jay, you're learning from Jay. aren't you?
Yeah, I'm learning from Jay. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
The only thing we're gonna change is we will not need closed session. The appraisal isn't back yet, so. that Session. And all those in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of our minutes that are in the package. From October 18th. Okay, Doug. Brad. All right. Here, no changes or anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, public comment. We only have Doug done.
Oh.
Okay. No public comment. We have no other supervisor, but Jay, anything? Nope. All right. Then we'll go right to forestry.
All right, so kind of the MOU discussion with the Ice Age Trail happened with, coincided with when they brought up acquisition for the property that they were looking to sell to us. I didn't create this outline. This was all them. I did work with them a little bit with some tweaks I would see on my end in terms of timber sales processes, and then also sent it off to Corp Council too, to just look at the legal part of it. So there was some stuff added to it, kind of that process, and just wanted to bring this forward to you guys to see if there was any issues with it. It is just for the 7-mile segments up in Indian Creek and Sand Creek on the county forest. So this isn't for Ice Age Trail everywhere. So it's just particular to the stuff that's up in the northeast corner of the Polk County.
Is that specified in here?
It is, it's in the recital,
Okay,
number 4 down. So,
so that's, okay, that's the.
yeah,
only-
so this is all existing stuff that the Ice Age Trail has been working. I don't know when they first put the Ice Age Trail in Polk County up there, but you know, they've been working up there with no liability insurance, no agreements, nothing. We just kind of been, you know, past foresters, or I've just kind of worked along with them. Some of the stuff they have in there, roles and responsibilities, we already implement that stuff in our timber sales, or that language, just because we have our 15-year plan captures some of that. Just having, you know, essentially managing stuff around scenic trails or trails in general in Polk County. Whether that's Ice Age Trail or somewhere else. So this was just kind of a capture agreement to say we're both on same page, get some liability insurance, and just so we have proper contacts and channels to be able to point to stuff, and then, you know, vice versa, they could on me too. But we've had, since I've been here, we've had a pretty good relationship with timber sales. They generally close the trail segment or anywhere adjacent to it, for the temporary being. So we haven't had any clashes since I've been here, and I know Paul and previous administrators haven't had issues. So it's more of a formality format. I think Jeremy Kozlowski early, you know, 13, 14, 15, it all kind of started there. Mark even had a draft at one point, and nothing ever came up to where there was any signatures. So this is why the Ice Age Trail brought it up again. And their original sheet that they had with Jeremy, I think, was like a land use agreement. So I was like, well, I'd rather see an MOU, something we can just be simple. We can, you know, pull out for vice versa. And I know that was kind of the direction of the county to go to MOUs too. So I don't know if you guys want to go through it, or if you've had a chance to read it, if you got certain questions on it.
Read it. But Leah has some points she wanted to make.
Yeah.
Also.
Did this go through Fresh Service?
It did. Yeah, went through Joe.
Because there's a couple of things in here that
I don't know that Joe would have approved, specifically the dual indemnification. Because we can't indemnify the Alliance. We can't agree to do that because our insurance provider wouldn't carry that. Or
Okay,
wouldn't honor that. The other part is the 10-year term. Is not something that we would endorse. And the other part was the miscellaneous equestrian, bicycle and recreational motorized use will not be allowed on the trail. That's an odd thing to put in to an MOU binding both parties when the Ice Age Trail specifically doesn't like having equestrians, but it's not prohibited within their regulations. And so making that promise for future boards, especially if it's a 10-year agreement, there is the 180-day out clause, which I think saves you from that fear of the 10-year term. But I think we would prefer to have a year-to-year, something that's reviewed annually with other major MOUs. So those were
Some wording in there that, like on a lease, it's just reviewed unless there's something wrong. Or it goes to the full board to extend the lease. So right now, all the MOUs are like a year. And the other one, Malia, just under miscellaneous, that number 2, is that right? That doesn't seem right either, that if the entire agreement shall be void if only one thing was found wrong.
Yeah, most
We'll say
indicate
that
that,
only that part is.
right, but I don't know what the intent of that would be, but I think probably,
We should-
my guess is it has something to do with the equestrian bicycle.
Okay. Brad,
Let's just send it back to Corporation Council to redraft it.
to take some of these, well, let's,
Figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, figure out what's wrong. I mean,
Okay.
we've stated several of them here already, so let's just move it to next month's meeting or whenever and say fix it.
let's go
And
through it
I
again and make sure.
apologize, because I didn't actually take a look at this until someone brought it to me yesterday. So I apologize, and if Joe reviewed it,
Well,
maybe
is
it was
a
when he
rush,
was
is
not
it?
in Ireland, he was tired.
I don't think we have a rush though, do we?
no, it's not.
Okay, and I apologize,
that's-
I'm not
Yeah.
like trying to.
Yeah. No, and
Tell me again.
Joe did like endorse the indemnifying both parties, like all this was passed through him twice, so
Okay,
it was negotiation between Ice Age Trail and Joe, essentially.
okay,
I
so he was comfortable with that, the indemnification
he-
language?
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause- so Ice Age Trail recountered with having it for them too. And then I asked Joe if that was okay. It's all in the comment sections, part in the reply.
In the press
Um,
service.
yep,
And
yep.
I apologize that I didn't see it.
Let's, what else did we see? I just seen that the entire, most of our agreements say just that part. You know, that found, not the state law or something would be.
Right, if there's one
Boy,
part of a.
Then the rest is still implement.
Right.
You don't have to rewrite the whole thing for one small thing. So equestrians can go on the Ice Age, but the other things can't. Is that not correct? I think the Ice Age Trail is hiking pretty much only. You can't put bikes on it and stuff.
Right, but I think even just having it in there, at that point, what if 2 of those trails done nothing more than crossed?
I think they can cross it, but you can't.
But then I'd be on the Ice Age Trail. That's all I'm saying. Is
Oh,
that
sure.
At that point, I would have to, if I was riding a bike, a horse, an ATV, if all the trail done was crossed it, you would still be theoretically on the trail. So that's where I say just,
Even with vehicles, because we talked about that earlier, allowing vehicles in certain parts of the forest. From, this time to this time, back to your point, crossing.
yeah, I guess I don't understand what it's there for, period.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Because it should be just whatever is allowed on the Ice Age Trail is allowed on the Ice Age Trail. We shouldn't have to.
Right, but if other trails,
Cross it.
Cross it.
That's
then you're
To make it
crossing.
clear.
just to make it clear, I think, for that part.
I think the hyper attention to this one is just because of all of the attention we've had on trails in general. So I want to make sure that
Yeah,
we don't agree to something that hurts us in a completely different situation later on. down the
Sure.
road. So
The Alliance, where is the Alliance? Is that like Polk County based or is that like the whole Ice Age Trail? Because that spans.
Alliance is the organization.
for the whole,
The whole trail.
for the whole state, it says Cross Plains. Yeah, for a signature.
Yeah.
So do they have a
Taking off.
local,
They have
person?
local I think they have local chapters. Most of them are a volunteer. So there's a certain person I work with up in
Up around here, because they're on St. Croix Falls, aren't they? I thought I just seen
I'm
the
doing
picture.
road work or timber sale or whatever, I contact them to let them know they need to change something or shut something down or.
Sure, so for that 2 weeks, that's pretty easy. to
Yeah, I
do.
generally have an update anyway by a logger, knowing when they're coming.
Sure,
But if I get one like right now, they're coming in December, I'll let them know.
sure,
I'll just send a quick email and then the map. And, you know, it's kind of up to them if they want to shut it down based on if it's adjacent or within.
or close or something,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. The only thing that was unique to it too. So Polk County Forest doesn't have really, any permit system for. We just have essentially allowed date and they come to me. You're supposed to have 2 weeks notice to me to be able to permit camping, but I don't send them, I just give them an email that says you're good to go. There's some language in there about garbage and cleanup and stuff. So the Ice Age Trail does want to have designated remote camping spots. So they're essentially, it'd have a mile marker or a map would be a designated remote camping area. It's more of a destination spot. Probably stems too from like state land, you can't camp on there. So if people are doing a Mackenzie Creek segment over to Lurie, they'd be able to camp on our land. We have nothing against that. They were just looking at doing a sign and a remote spot that they're just small spot they'd clear. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I don't think that there'd be any issues. I probably wouldn't do a notification system with that. Just because I don't want 15 phone calls a summer about people just camping along the trail. So, but that was put into the, where was that?
Way at the end, miscellaneous.
Yeah, miscellaneous. So. I don't know.
But this is only for like a 7 mile segment, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, only the stuff on Polk County Forest too, so, yeah.
So can you camp in?
You can camp, yep, you can camp anywhere remote
so,
or along roads. We have language on like trailheads and stuff like that you can't.
Yeah, I mean, they camp in parking spots and along the roads
Yeah.
routinely all summer long anyway. So I mean,
yeah, I don't think
They're
it's,
showing up right now too with hunting season, so,
oh, sure, okay.
Yeah.
so I don't,
yeah. I don't think it's an issue,
no.
but they will have it as a locator, just so you know.
Sure.
On there.
On there,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so that is the super pressing. Then we'll say yes, let's have Malia go through it once more.
Yeah, they've been waiting 10 years, so I think
Yeah.
they'll wait a couple. Yeah.
So Malia, I think we should ask by consensus that the 10 years is too much.
Yeah, so
Sure,
I messaged Joe and he responded saying there's a lot of terms in there that the committee should not agree to. 10-year term, the issues about use, but then he did put a caveat saying that was a political decision, so he didn't comment on that in fresh service, and that makes sense. He's gonna go back and look at the indemnification language and make sure it's comfortable, but yeah, kick it back to our office, and I apologize.
sure. Okay.
Yep.
Good. And you have updates on?
Yeah, update on the parcel. 034-003-95-0000. So an update on there, I reached out to probably 10 firms. Trying to get a lower appraisal. About half a dozen of them declined even doing the work. Just because this isn't a standard appraisal. I think it was USDAP standards, and then it also has to follow Wisconsin DNR guidelines appraisal format. So it's close to like a yellow book, which is a federal acquisition style format. So there's more work involved in these appraisals essentially. So ended up getting 4 bids. The lowest bid was JC Norby, who actually did the last one up in McKinley with when Mark was here for $2,200. So that was the lowest bid. The next 3 were 3,000 and the other 2 were 3,900. So trying to get, that's why it's taken so long, because
Sure.
and then JC Norby also had the quickest delivery date. So a lot of them were December, and so the delivery date's November 20th for the appraisal
Okay,
from JC Norby. So could come in sooner, but once
the next meeting will be the first
Six.
weekend in December, won't it?
December 6th, yep.
December 6th.
so maybe we revisit both items today.
On the 6th, yeah, well, I
Sixth?
think so.
Yeah, the appraisal and the
Yep.
view.
Yep, December 6th.
So. And I did find the last invoice from Mark's, the 80 acres up in McKinley, and it was $2,300 for the 80.
So it was this, yeah,
So
so
it's probably still slightly higher, per 40. I don't know how they do it, but
yeah, so it's pretty consistent though.
yeah.
All right. Then your only other update is you have a big audit coming next week.
Yeah, got an audit next week, so
Okay,
should go well.
should go well.
I think so.
All right. Any other questions? No, you're good to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Well. The renewable energies in our packet, is it?
No, I do have, Claire does have it in the file, so we can bring it up.
Well, should we do the shoreline first then? That's in our packet. Or do you want to go to the renewable? Let's go through it.
I can go through it real quick.
Let's go through the renewable.
Okay. Claire's got it. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Bob.
So we're entering, as of today, ordinance amendment season. Claire's brought up the renewable energy system or our renewable energy ordinance. I have some notes, if you recall, when we were working on this, we had several comments from the broader community, in particular from REC. And according to my notes, there was 2 requests. One, simply carve out these renewable energy systems to generate anywhere from 0 to 5 megawatt of electricity. So this applies to both solar or photovoltaic farms or wind turbines. And so there's that. I also have a list of suggestions that was provided to us by our electrical co-op in terms of suggested changes. So if you recall, and you can look at the Apple River Solar Project or even the recent solar project in Georgetown. Typically, solar development requires 10 acres to create 1 megawatt of electricity. So that's a pretty conservative estimate. And again, looking at Apple River Solar, what's the footprint there? 1,000 acres, it's 100 megawatt. Georgetown, it's 2 megawatts, it's just under 20 acres. So if you're looking at carving out up to 5 megawatts, we're talking about a 50-acre footprint, which one could argue is a significant footprint in regards to land use. So just sharing that with you. So that's the alternative, to either carve out 0 to 5 megawatts, or according to Polk Burnett, they recommended some definition changes, and we can start with the definitions. They were looking at changing, adding the small scale renewable energy systems in the definitions. Let's start with medium scale. So M. There you go. So this one. We have it at 30 to 100 megawatts. They had suggested changing that to 5 to 100. And then with small scale, Claire, if you go up to the S, small scale. Here. Right now it reads 0 to 30. They recommended 0 to 5. So if you're going to keep small scale, it'd be 0 to 5. In other words, you didn't do a carve out. They weren't exempt from our ordinance. We would have to change the definitions. Then as you move forward into the general provisions, if you can go to, let's see, section 42792B. So B here, whoop, B. Polk Burnett requested, again, if you create small scale 0 to 5 megawatt, that this provision be removed. In other words, that annual 8 hours of training for all EMS providers be removed. Also,
So that's up to 50 acres they can cover and still try not to,
right,
is what they're kind of looking at. They're really,
well,
I mean, even a 10 acre, like,
zero, yeah, the 0 to 5 could be, 1 megawatt would be 10 acres.
yeah, could be up to 50 acres. I mean, like you said,
Polk Burnett's asking that this provision does not apply to the small.
to those, because even a 10 acre one, it should apply, I think. I mean, because that's, I don't know what everybody thinks. I mean, 10 acres of those panels up, it's quite a few.
And I think there's a big difference between 10 acres and 50 acres, even when you're looking at the small side of,
Yeah.
small scale. But at the same point, I understand how, they don't want yearly training, but certainly every 4 or 5 years. I mean,
That
to
there has
just
to be
wipe it
some
off the
training.
books and say
There
no
has to be
training,
some
period.
training.
Absolute, to me, absolutely not. I
Yeah.
mean, because your fire departments change over the years, your
Mhm.
police, your ambulance, all of those change over the years. So just the ability to have training whatever that number of years is so that to make sure those new people in the last few years that came in a month after the training in 2024 get some training down the road.
Yeah.
And if we think back to Apple River Solar, when they came to us, that was one of our things from the fire departments is to have some kind of training for that. They asked for that. We didn't bring that up.
And to know if there was batteries there or something,
Yeah.
storage. I mean,
Yeah, it's
they were
vital that
asking-
there's training regardless of the size. Now,
Yeah.
if you just had 2 of them built in the same fire district, within 2 years, well, maybe not. I mean,
It's how much turnover they have in their fire
Yeah.
department. There's a
right,
lot or something.
but having said that, it can't just be,
No,
oh, hey, because I built one under 50 acres or,
Yeah, I don't
5
agree there.
megawatts, I don't need to train. No, you still need to train those individuals because they're the ones that are out there potentially with their lives on the line fighting it. So whatever it is, so they need training.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it needs to be yearly based, but I'm right there. There needs to be training.
Minimum every 5 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Doug, what is it?
But just to follow up on what Tracy said is that Polk Burnett wasn't asking, was mentioning that they don't need training because they don't have batteries. And the training was specifically geared toward the ones that had batteries. And I don't know how Justin is and where he is on his, anyway, in the Luck, Clam Falls area or Indian Creek area. One of the problems with getting these firemen and first responders is the training, because they don't have time for it anymore. Because it used to be that people would be on the fire department or first responders and you say they're all working and you say, well, you need 8 hours of training. They're losing people because of the training. At least that's what I've been told by the department.
Some of it's the time commitment, yes.
Yeah.
But I'd rather lose them from training than lose them on the job.
I don't think. the
And in a
departments-
fire.
I don't think the departments would agree with you.
Well, but I mean, you wouldn't want somebody out there that doesn't have any training, then what are
No,
they
no,
gonna
I'm
do?
not saying that, but they're saying,
We're dropping all the training for all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's scary. You know, we're gonna have people that are way.
What are
under-
your thoughts?
That,
Well, and I look at, okay, yeah, there might not be batteries there, but what happens if a car crashes through the fence and hits one of them, one of the solar panels, you know, is there toxins in those solar panels? You know, what's, you know, if it's during the day, is it still generating enough electricity to electrocute somebody? I don't know, cause we don't have any solar panels, but that's the training that, you
that's the
know.
training, to know that you can't run in there. What if it's a
Right.
grass fire? And the
Right.
backs are melting and dripping and wires, you know,
I
it's
was just
scary.
expressing what I've heard.
So,
Yeah.
so is
Well, I heard
8
that
hours,
too.
I don't know what the number is,
What if you
but
put
maybe it's,
adequate training?
yeah.
I mean, because then it could be an hour, it could be, you know, I mean, maybe they send a bullet point or a PowerPoint thing to each fire department and say, here, have your people watch this.
Well, it does
I
say
mean-
up to.
Yeah, there's 8 hours. So I'm hearing two different things. We're looking at changing the annual to maybe
Biannual at least.
every other year, 5 years. And I'm also hearing hour requirement as well could be adjusted.
What's this up to?
But
So
I
it
think-
could be.
I think, yeah, up to, I mean, it could be an hour,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's just saying, hey, you know.
it's like
Go up to 8 hours.
Misha has it for mine safety. You have to have but an hour or 2 hours a year and all this, you know.
Yeah.
You have to get, if you get out of the truck, you gotta have a hard hat on, different things, you know. I'm sure they have safety for the, at the highway. Don't you? You have to have, they have to have safety meetings. That's just part of having insurance and everything. So,
And typically, every department needs to have a monthly training, no matter what. So this could be that department's monthly training,
it could be
Exactly.
part of
you
it.
know, part of it, yeah.
It could be written in that's part of it, so at least they have something. Because it wouldn't be hard for somebody to run into that field if something happened
Yeah, I wouldn't do
and
it.
not know it.
Right,
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
because if they don't mow and you have grass and, you know, so, okay, what caused that grass fire? Is there a short in one of the solar panels? Is there
yeah,
somebody smoking? Was it, you know, what was it? Was it lightning? But, you know what hazards are there to
Right.
know about.
sure.
So the committee like to keep this provision,
Yep.
but make it less restrictive. In other words, not annually. Where are we landing on that?
I would say at least a biannual update, whether that's on-site training or, you know, because we get something at the fire department every year from the natural gas companies. Or, you know,
The pipeline sent
Yeah.
them out. Digger's
You know,
Hotline sends them out every year.
if there's some sort of an update like that, I think, you know, that, like I said, maybe it's not on-site, but it's, you know, initially, just in good faith, I think an on-site training would be good.
Right.
But, you know, from there on out, maybe they don't need that.
So you're saying every 2 years, not twice a year, every 2 years.
Correct.
And you say biannual. Okay.
And it could either be on site or not.
It could be implemented. I would think they'd implement it right into their own safety
Training
training
materials,
if
yeah.
it's in their district that they would actually.
And where are you guys coming down on the 50 acres or the 5 megawatts?
I think it's gotta be for all of them, because even that 10-acre one. I mean, you're covering 10 acres with something. It isn't
Right.
like you're putting a house or a big shed up or something in one corner of it. I mean, you're covering 50 acres. Is my thought, or 10 acres, excuse me.
So is this provision just for wind or is this for all types of renewable?
Both.
So then, gonna go a different way, how does windmills play into this? And so if there's a proposed windmill site. Is it everything that's, you know, so let's say we got 4 windmills on 40 acres. Is that 40 acres or is that just the area that's under the windmill? So the driveway and the area surrounding the windmill?
It would be if they own the land, it's that would be their site.
But the windmill's not on 39.5 acres.
Well, if you bought a 40 and you put 2 windmills up, you're on 40 acres.
I'm just asking,
I
just,
mean,
Yeah,
that's,
no, I get,
Right,
I
yeah.
get where you're going here
but I
because
think you
you're
have to
not gonna
lease that
have.
much.
On
Not a
on
big
10 acres,
footprint.
let's say, you're only gonna have one windmill.
Correct.
Probably only gonna have one on every 40 acres in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
But your
So-
footprint of
But your
that
footprint
windmill.
of the windmill is,
Very minute. It's your driveway coming from whatever road, your access road to the windmill. And around the base, because wherever you go at, on these windmills. So I don't know how much, energy one windmill turns, but where does that fit into this?
Do we have windmill, wind separated out?
Same.
It's the same.
And I'm not trying to change everything, but I'm just,
To make it work.
because there was a proposal, we learned about it last meeting up north.
Right.
So again, not trying to, just want to make sure that, we don't do something that affects something else.
Right.
Well,
You
if you lease that 40, that would, it's like when they lease it for a tower.
so when
You
we,
have to have the fall down areas too and stuff. I mean, so that's all should be affected. So if it's 150 feet high, you gotta go 150 feet all the way around is their site. And usually it's 125%. It used to be the towers. So if you're 100, you have to have 125 feet drop zone all the way around. For
the
safety.
owner, the
So that would
owner,
be a safety issue if a big wind come up and that's half tipped over.
Right.
You're not gonna pull up to the bottom of it, are you?
I sure,
I would hope not. You'd stay. So
at least the way it's leaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the owner would be whoever has those windmills. So if they put up 10 windmills, the company, they would be the owner of them. So regardless of how much land they use, but yeah, I get it, because you're on, yeah, it's gonna be,
The windmill is probably a lease deal, because the wind company's not gonna, they're gonna own the windmill sitting there and they're leasing the land, if I had to guess.
They are.
yeah,
So
There has to be something, they have
no
to have a
different, no
fall
different
area, I
than the
think.
solar panels.
I get the fall area, but when you're talking 10 acres equals 1 megawatt here. I think you have to go to all. Because if, I don't know what one big wind turbine will produce.
I don't know what they make either.
So if you limit it by how many acres, I think you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, I guess.
Oh, I'm
is what
not saying acre, no, I'm saying that acre deal does, it stays right there. They have to do that studies and all that for everything, that we're not gonna reduce 0 to 5 and all that, we're gonna leave them.
Okay.
Full
I
size.
just want to speak up and say I don't agree, so.
Okay, I'm just saying that when
0
that
to
covers
3,
10
0 to
acres.
5, I think 0 to 3 and less should be treated differently because out in Georgetown, what is it, 13 acres or something?
Yeah,
It's not a very big plot. So I don't think that should have to go through every chick hoop that somebody that has 100 megawatts. Three.
I'm just thinking, you take 10 acres and cover that whole thing with. I mean, it isn't like a house or anything or a big shed. I mean, you're covering 10 acres.
So.
So it's pretty offensive. So now what if you made that, now they can add on to that to 50 acres with no permits or anybody knowing?
I guess my fear is that you're not gonna have 10 acres in Polk County.
No, I don't think we
Force
are.
them out, you know?
I don't think there's spots. The neighbors are gonna fight it more once they see one, That's why they're staying north.
Well, they didn't in Georgetown. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not hurting anybody.
No, not yet at least.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can.
I think the only reason they're doing it is they're
I
getting
can't
federal
think
money.
like
We're paying them to put them in whether they work or not. To me, it's whatever, yeah. I just think that's quite a use to put on 10 acres, when you look at how we take a shoreline, and only 30% of the area can be used. All of a sudden, we're giving them 100% of 10 acres is covered,
It's covered with solar panels, or
Panels.
it could be windmills.
or windmills, yeah.
But when you look at it, how much actually surface are you creating?
Yeah, and different things too, yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, you're really not limiting
A
a whole
lot.
lot of impervious surface, are you?
Because you'll have roads there and stuff to maintain it is all. But you're still covering 10 acres for use. Is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's right out to the edges, everything. It's like 20-foot setbacks and all this is all. It fills up. Have you been by it up there and seen it?
Not that one. I was
There?
by one
They're
the
all-
other day.
I mean, but
Okay, so
let's go through general
this
stuff.
provision, again, we have several others to go through.
Yeah.
Where we've landed is every other year.
Yep.
With training optional to be on site. Okay, I'll make that adjustment. The next provision that they had some commentary was E. An owner shall notify the administrator of the occurrence and nature of an energy system emergency within 24 hours of emergency. So this is coming from, again, their memo, if you all recall getting the memo. I don't recall why this is a conflict. Perhaps it's the 24-hour notice, but they felt that this provision should be removed.
That's on pipelines and everything big. I mean, on any major power, I think, isn't it? That we're notified.
Is it 24 hours on all of those?
I think it is. I think pipelines, all that is because of what's her name, does the safety stuff for the county.
Lisa?
Lisa. I mean, that'd be something we'd ask her, I think. That, you know, that somebody's notified of something major like that.
Well, does it need to be the emergency management coordinator, not the administrator?
Well, either, it has to be one or the other. A lot of it, because say a tornado and all this stuff, it always goes through the administrator. When that last big storm went through, look at all the people that got notified and.
You could change it.
Notifications.
Yeah, you could change it to or the administrator or emergency management
Right.
coordinator.
Or both, yeah.
Oh. Seems.
That's probably who it should be under though. Because if it was a big storm, say all them panels got ripped off and house roofs, those are flying around too. We'd want emergency management.
Right.
I don't understand what the big deal is.
It almost sounds like an effort to contain publicity,
Mhm.
if to remove that. So you may want to leave some type of notification in there, because if it is bad, we don't want them to just cover, you know.
Right.
It's like when a gas line breaks,
But I
they
would-
try not to tell you to, but they fix them.
Yeah, but I think there again, I think it, you know, if it's gonna be one or the other, I think it should be the emergency management
Yeah.
coordinator. I mean, because that's the person at the county who is.
Who has to deal with it?
Who does the storms, anything, any
who's in
major.
Charge of those kinds of things,
Yeah.
so.
So that would be the best change there.
Can I strike that then?
No, put in emergency management has to be,
Well, I'll just strike the administrator.
yeah,
Or are you doing both, Bob? Or like,
By administrator to strike administrator.
strike administrator and put emergency management.
Polk County
Polk
Emergency
County Emergency
Management.
Management.
Just practically speaking, they might be, you might put or the
I would put
administrator.
or.
Or,
They're gonna know the administrator before they know the emergency management.
I
and
would
then
put
the
or as
administrator's
well.
gonna contact.
so that both get done, yeah. Yeah, so at least one of the others notified if something happened.
The next item is AA. This is that semi-annual reporting. Remember, we had a lot of discussion about this. Basically, the provision in a nutshell asks that maintenance log of that renewable energy facility is provided to the zoning office, just to ensure that the system is being maintained properly and that it's operationally in good standing. If you recall, this is all at the owner's expense. And so we had a lot of discussion about this. So there's that, yep.
So Bob, wasn't their main concern is the expense?
Correct. That and whether or not we could understand.
The maintenance,
report, yeah,
right?
The maintenance log report.
Well,
So but they're gonna have to generate a report of this kind to go to somebody, are they not?
I
MISO.
would assume so.
Yeah, MISO.
Well, they would,
So I think
that would be
just,
routine for them to do anyway.
so then just sending us that, I guess it's, I mean, if all they have to do is hit a button and add
Send it.
Polk County to it, because they're sending it to the state. I
Right.
guess if we understand it or not,
Find somebody
they can
that will.
always say, hey, you got it.
Yeah, we can find somebody that does understand. It's,
Yeah,
I mean,
You
they
know, I
say
mean, I
we
don't
don't
wanna-
understand it. They don't know if we do or not.
Yeah, I don't wanna know if, it don't matter to me on what day they mowed the grass, that's irrelevant, but I mean,
The fact
If
is
they're-
they mowed the grass.
That's
yeah,
right.
but I mean, if they're already generating a report that has to go to the state agency at somewhere, to simply hit the button
I
and
agree.
put Polk County on it at
Yeah.
the same time.
So it's like the Otis elevator inspection.
Yeah,
You always see
Yeah.
that signature, who knows what they do, right?
yeah.
But we just need to know that the report has been done, it's
And
inspected.
it's being done,
Exactly.
that the fire extinguisher is checked or something,
Well, and-
that
and-
signature too, kind of just. But I'm sure they have to do it for their own maintenance log.
See, I think their
And
biggest,
just once a year, send it out.
Was the cost.
their biggest issue with something around that was, I think at some point we'd asked about, like the decommissioning part, like updating that, having two bids or whatever for
Yeah.
the decommissioning. I thought that's where they had more of an
Well,
issue.
That's
This
coming
is
up.
separate.
This is,
But I thought that was where they had more of an issue than this. I mean, cause you talked about the fire extinguisher. Hypothetically, every fire extinguisher is supposed to be looked at once a month and you're supposed to sign on the back of the tag.
yeah, if you walk around, and look at them.
If you walk around and look at them, but I'll bet you 99% of them don't get looked at only on an annual basis when they come around to check them.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should be asking for it any more often than they have to send it to the states.
Yeah.
So if that's once a year,
Yeah,
it's once a year. I think our request for that information should be in line with whatever agency they're sending it to. So it's like, hey, we don't want it twice as often as somebody else is getting it. We just want to see a copy of it, however often you have to send it to another
Yeah.
agency.
yeah, sure, they have to go, wherever they go, they keep a log, every driver, everybody, whatever they do,
Whoever does something in there.
does something in there. So I mean, it's all compiled already. It wouldn't be.
So I noticed like here we have the department. Earlier we had the administrator. Do we need to like clarify like what the department is? Like it's the zoning department or it's the county administrator? Just,
It's all in the definitions, Justin.
Okay.
It's all spelled out in the definition, so it'd be page 2. in definitions. I think we addressed the decommissioning, because remember that was like an 11th hour change.
Because we had 3 in there, and then we dropped it to 2, I think, because it's hard to find anybody. There's nobody
Or
that
is
does it
in
yet.
their last memorandum, so we must have appeased them somehow. So with this, we're leaving it the same then, AA,
Yeah,
with the semi-annual reporting.
we can always make that like Brad said, that it would be the same report that they have to send to. I'm sure they have to do it once a year, any of the utilities.
Yeah, I think AA gets changed to whatever the state is requiring them to do,
Yeah,
that we just get a copy of.
Okay,
just a copy of the
CC
state.
the county.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
So do you remove semi-annual?
Yes.
So well.
we just
and
rewrite it.
double- And
It would
does
clarify
AA
it.
just kind of disappear and say whatever need, I mean, in better terms than this, but whatever the state is requiring is we want a copy of it.
is it the state or is it the
ESO,
Public Service Commission.
public service?
Public service or whoever they send it
But
to,
yeah,
yeah,
whoever, but I mean, yeah,
which is the state agency, whatever. yeah.
striking AA and we're replacing it with, any and all state reporting shall be copied, or copies
To the county,
of those records
Yeah.
shall be provided to the department.
to the department, yeah. That would shorten that one up too. That wouldn't be too bad.
and then it'll put no extra work on them.
No,
No.
Less work on the county too.
Yeah.
I mean, semi-annual, it doesn't. Well, just gonna get thrown a quarter of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me.
Well, that's it.
that was it in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can have it on the-
Well, I'll do my best and do a red line version. And at the next meeting, I'll put it in the packet. My apologies, I didn't notice it till this morning. I wasn't in the packet.
That'll work, yeah, then we can just go through it at the next one. We'll have time to read through it and so will they, and then if they look at it too, they can send us what they think too. Again. Of course, they have a public hearing. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Can you bring up the tourist rooming house or actually the comprehensive and shoreline ordinance updates?
You can scroll down to page 10 of 45.
I don't see a lot of scrolling, but
It'll be the red section.
P. 10, page 10.
On the bottom, it says 10 of 45. So we added Q. That was the request after the discussion the last time about not allowing an application for a year after a violation and giving that grace period at the beginning for anyone who's currently operating without a permit to cease operating for a period of time, 1 month before applying and bringing themselves into compliance, giving that grace period. I think your discussion centered around providing that incentive to get people into compliance.
So then it's just an after the fact fee then.
That's the penalty.
Yep.
That's
So
the
it's
penalty. Okay,
basically triple the cost,
Right.
sure.
which according to our fee schedule in 2024 went up to 500. So it's basically a $1,500.
1,500, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we captured that.
And that's mirrored in both.
And that was the most significant.
That was the most
It was a
significant.
substantial change, so we had to postpone the county board adoption. So again, if there's no edits, then we can move forward with the petition, public hearing, and at the earliest be on county board in December.
So it seems to me at least, because I thought it was gonna say they were gonna lose their license for a year, just like somebody who violated the provisions would lose, because even at a month, I don't think it's a big enough incentive for me to come in and get a permit.
No, you don't lose it for a month. You have to, if you're currently in violation, in other words, operating without a
Right, you
permit.
have to cease operations for a month.
If the penalty was you couldn't apply for a year unless you ceased for a year, we would never get any compliance. What's the incentive? They'll just hope they go under the radar. This was to say, let's get everybody into compliance.
And
Yep.
I get it, and I'm gonna argue the fact that if all I'm gonna lose is a month and have to pay $1,500 instead of $500 and keep renting 365 days a year, all I'm losing is a month.
Well, what's the fee if you never get compliant?
There's no fee.
There's no fee.
What's the penalty if you don't?
Forfeitures. If you're operating without a valid permit, so the zoning office could issue a citation every day they're not in compliance.
Under this, Malia?
That's
Or-
under, as it
In
already
general.
exists in general, if somebody's operating without a permit where a permit is required. they can issue a forfeiture every day, but. Question is, who's going to be the enforcement arm? You want zoning to go knocking on every,
It's like,
VRBO
it's like
advertise.
everything else. It's all complaint driven. You know, I mean, it's better than what we got of nothing.
I remember the year too, so you're not the Lone Ranger.
I'm just not sure it's enough when I'm renting 365 days a year today without a license. I'm not sure.
You wanna
Having
go
to
2
cease
months, 3
operations
months?
for a month,
You wanna go 2 months, 3 months?
3 months.
4
would be a
months.
Quarter.
3 months, yeah.
3
months is a
3 months
quarter.
would be a quarter. Instead of one.
Especially when your book is full.
And if you get caught the 1st of June and you lose it 3 months, that's gonna be a big deal.
Maybe go that way then, to not do the year and go with 3 months. And it's still somewhat reasonable. Because like that Smith said, he's gonna lose tens of thousands of dollars, but he's not doing it for the money. I sat through that one. So that's in both.
So 3 months instead of one, that's the only change.
If everybody kind of agrees to that.
Might not agree, but I don't disagree. So
It's not a year, Doug.
it
We're
doesn't make any
doing
sense.
compromise.
If they're in violation now, they're gonna be in violation for 2 months. You know, these people.
Yeah, they know how to
don't
do it.
Hear what we say.
They
No.
don't, they
No.
don't,
So
we
we
know
can
that.
come up with every rule in the world, but
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
gonna follow it.
Oh, I agree.
You know?
Yeah, we're doing our, we're doing our part. Not taking a year. We're just.
Now this, the one we got printed out, is that kind of the newest or not? Because I read all the other stuff in it too, so I think we better check some of
Oh,
this
no,
other.
his highlighter went wild.
But, okay, so
3 months on that.
if you want to look at everything else, then we'll just keep putting this on your agenda every.
Well, we
every
better
2
look at
weeks.
some of these to see, I'm reading one that says you have to do this and this.
But I'm kind of hoping,
We can put this
Supervisor
through and
O'Connell
jump
is-
back and,
is if we at least pass this one, we render moot that claim in the Realtors action.
yeah.
So if you keep delaying it, I'm not saying you can't look at it, you absolutely can. But if I were queen, I would say let's handle this provision and then continue looking at it.
Because we can still look at it the next 3-4 months while we're
Absolutely,
in.
absolutely.
Yes, but I'm gonna put it in some people's heads here. We got Office of the Department of Nothing.
What page are you?
What page is that?
Page 2 of 45, so it should say DNR. I'm still gonna say some of these things.
Great.
I think we'll have,
Where was that again? Sorry. Where was it?
page 2 of 45. H,
H.
under H.
Oh, H.
The zoning administrator shall contact the appropriate office of the department for a final determination, the Department of.
Wording.
It's a wording thing.
I don't know if
The
department
department
is.
and the definitions. is the
defined.
DNR.
So
Oh, is it?
the definition of this department is DNR, definition of the other one is zoning. So I mean, we better make our definitions right,
Okay,
Or just put it in the text.
or put it in here, DNR.
gotcha.
I thought we changed the bunkhouse from that 400 square feet. I thought we went bigger to 1,000. So on page 3 of 45,
It's 1,000.
yeah, all those numbers are 400 and stuff, if you notice.
You know what? This is an older version then,
That's what I'm thinking.
'cause it doesn't include the
Change that.
statements
We might have to, well,
or the
I think we might have to just,
storage, yeah, because that's antiquated.
yes, okay.
Maybe it really is in the good book.
I'll look at the other big book, yeah.
But keep talking, Kim.
I'm coming up. I
You're at
gotta
the
see,
floor.
I got some more here. There was a few more. I just happened to read. The rezoning land out of farmland preservation. We might have to look through
What
that.
page?
That is page 18 of 45.
18.
We might have to look because there's some weird exemptions in there too,
Where were you at?
right there. Because we had that one out of farmland preservation. But I don't, he probably could have did it.
Okay.
Where again?
Some of these exemptions.
18, page
18 to
18,
45.
G. Top, at the
Rezoning.
top.
I pulled the word version right from our code of ordinances.
Okay,
So,
so that one I think might have been different. So now page 22 of 45. Under the mining districts. Conditional uses. First line. Definitions outlined in subsection B3, B, and C. There's no C. It goes A, B, D. There's no C in that one,
Good one.
unless D is supposed to be C. Yeah. So we have to find out if if C is missing. Or if it's D and we just change that.
Yeah.
Did have an argument at the BOA. The county shall review all easements pursuant to Wisconsin statute 236. Mr. Top said they didn't do whatever. It's always on every map, but they do review it. 27 of 45. Private road deal, that was to the towns. So then jump to page 35.
here it is again.
Under number 2. What are those letters? I, double I, triple I, IV. What is that crap?
Roman numerals.
So that-
1, 2, 3, 4.
We don't have a Roman around here to read that, so I think we should go back to English. It snuck through.
500 in kindergarten.
So then, now page 37. 42, 307. Off-street parking. Everything else, we make them have 2 parking spots, but on a regular house, just 1. But we make parking spots and everybody have 2. That doesn't, did we? So right on dwellings, 1 space per each dwelling. Motel and tourist cabins, 1 space, but any camping, everything else has to have 200 square foot. I don't know, should we make it consistent so that that's the same throughout too?
I'll have to look at that one.
Okay. So then page 42. Definitely have to do the sketch drawings have to be to dimension. But under revocation, conditional and permitted use, a warning shall be issued and documented. That number 2, I think we should come out. I think we took that out.
The warning process is something that you guys
Took out.
went through 2 years ago where the
Yeah.
zoning office presented an entire, here's our
Yep.
step-by-step process and you
Actually,
endorsed.
2 letters.
Yeah,
So we left that in.
yes.
So that's what that one guy decided. He didn't get 2 warnings, so that's why we can't take his permit.
That's our internal policy,
Okay, that's an internal policy, but it's here right now, isn't it?
1 letter.
I thought in my memory, Jason said they switched it to no warning.
That's what I thought too. See, so that's why I marked it.
No, they actually, again, presented when you guys were meeting in the other building.
So we have to have 2 warnings before we can take a
Could be
permit.
2 warnings.
So that is in there. All right. So I thought it was none. So then, if that's the way it is, then you come over to page 43 of 45, read number 3, conditions attached to a conditional use. Violation of any of these conditions shall be deemed a violation of the article, result in immediate revocation of the conditional use permit. So you give them 2 warnings, but if they do something wrong, it says you can take it. So which one do we do?
Whatever
We
is,
do the 2 warnings or do we take it right away?
whatever is the least restrictive option is what is enforced. So.
Doesn't make sense.
You give them
It
two
doesn't
warnings.
not make sense to me that we give them 2 warnings And then in the next paragraph, we say, if you violate any of these conditions, you lose it immediately. Then go back one, they can say, but it says over here, you gotta give me 2 warnings. So we gotta be doing one or the other, don't we?
Well, that,
Isn't it
Isn't
kind
that-
of the intent of sometimes people are not in compliance and they're not aware of it?
Correct.
And so we give them a warning, and we actually being nice, give them a second warning to say, are we absolutely clear that you're
Yeah.
aware of this thing? And then that's when the big stick comes. At that point, we've said we've given you 2 warnings.
But I mean, if they're pumping sewage into the river,
You give them 2 warnings or do you make them
No.
see? So then you have, how do you,
that was again a part of the.
you weigh it a little bit. But I'm reading revocations, you get 2 warnings. And then I get over to here. But if you do anything against the conditions, you lose it immediately. I mean, so you can either give them 2 warnings or you can take it away right away. So you can do both.
I really think if we're gonna get into all of this, and you can do what you want, we're gonna have a new zoning person, hopefully at some point in the future, new leadership in that whole division. Right now, it's probably, let's just get done what we have on the
I know that,
table.
but I mean, this is something that's problematic. because
Absolutely, so.
I
bring
can
it-
read this part.
Come and
If I
have a
don't get
meeting.
2
Come
warnings.
and have a meeting with me. Come and have a meeting with the new ZA.
I want the
rather
meeting
than-
with everybody so that we all are on the same page.
So
Actually.
I hate divide and conquer. I like to say to everybody,
the
so
changes made
it's
to this,
either completely wrong or right.
the changes made to this ordinance are not what's actually codified. So on the codification that we have coming up, have those changes on revocation to C number 2. It just says a property with revoked permit shall be required to wait 12 months before they apply for another conditional use permit. That whole warning issued has been crossed out. It's on the to be codified list yet. So this one does not have those changes in it.
And I use whatever was codified as the basis for just making the changes that we talked about regarding tourist rooming house.
So it's not about all the pick apart, because that stuff is going through yet. It's just not into the code yet. They have a
So it's just not
schedule.
published, but it's been passed.
Yes,
It is what is law though.
yes.
Okay,
So
so how do I get that to read then? So I don't mark up
It's-
an old one and we do it all twice.
It's on the website
Yeah,
under ordinances.
okay,
Chairman
So-
O'Connell,
so that's what they fought with in BOA was this was there. And this was there. So it still must be on the website because they brought it up. That was only last week. That
There's
you had to
a-
have 2 warnings.
it's on the homepage, so
Okay,
what's been adopted is sent to our vendor MuniCode.
yep,
On the homepage, it's all those newly adopted ordinances that have yet to be
okay.
codified or incorporated into our existing.
Sure.
code. So that's probably.
But they've been passed by the full board, so they are what we should be going by.
Correct.
Okay, because this is what they used in one of their BOA deals to go against us.
Yeah, Chairman O'Connor, one thing we pulled from today's agenda was the ordinance audit. Do you remember me talking about that
Yeah.
2 weeks ago? So Tim is coming in December.
Okay,
And what you've told me or told all of us, I'm making notes. But Tim has been looking at our code, working with staff. There is some conflicting and contradictory
like this,
like.
but it's
this.
been changed because that we caught it last time because even Doug caught that we took that out. Didn't we? The 2 warning, yeah, we all thought,
Point is, Tim's reviewing it all
yep,
because we're trying to clean this up. And so I just want to share that with you that he's working on it. We have a list of other issues too. with-
of other thing, about our other changes should always be highlighted then because I assume this was what was in there again. Same as everybody else.
So when Tim does come to present, he'll have the most updated version of our code.
All right,
And he'll facilitate.
okay. Because, yeah, because that's pretty conflicting. Those 2 were just terrible. And I was sure that we took that double warning out and then you have that as an internal policy that you have a list
Right,
of the most egregious and work your way down.
yep. work our
Okay.
way down, Yep.
Yes, okay.
so is that all of them, Kim?
Oh, I'll read the real one and go through it. Jesus Christ.
That's all for today, Brett.
That's all for today.
That's all.
All right.
That's all, unless you found some too. I just
All
went
for
like,
today.
like some of that where there's no C.
Not everything I had, Kim.
No
He put his
Cs and
pen
no
down.
Ds.
He put his
I
pen
just
down.
went, what happened to us? I thought we had all this straightened out.
His pen has been put down.
Do you want to have a
Okay, so-
public hearing on just the one provision?
Just on the tourist rooming house
Changing it to
addition.
3 months.
This goes in. both.
Yeah,
Because then the other one will have to go,
Yeah.
I'll have to
Yeah,
read
it'd be
through
both.
to update. Yeah,
Is that all right? Okay.
because the other one will have to read it to update that those aren't in there. Because that's what they're using that BOA and stuff. So I mean, we gotta get it straightened out. If we did it a year ago,
I think.
That's what they
we do
used.
Updates once a year, like fully.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
past practice, I know Shabana's doing it more quarterly, is that right, Shabana?
Yeah, I'm working on it, so it'll be codified in the actual books, like the paper copy is gonna be annually, but we are working to update this quarterly on the website instead of annually because of these issues that are coming through, where people are looking at the codified instead of the what's changed, and it's not actually in there yet, so we have moved that up to quarterly. I was waiting for these tourist rooming houses to actually go through and that it got pushed back, so I did ask them just to go forward with it. So that should be done in November. It'll be done this month, I believe.
because I did sit with the Bob during the BOA and showed him where this guy read all this off and that's how that was some of their ways to get around the BOA. Well, it says it didn't get 2 warning letters. We have to give it back to them and all this. Well, there's one of them right there.
So then on a cert review of their decision, it would be argued then that they operated on the incorrect theory of law.
Correct.
Makes it very appealable.
Yes, if we want to appeal it, yes. That's what we can maybe get into. That's why I sat through it just to listen and read their decisions here. And that's,
For the outcome of BOA?
So-
last
so-
week?
so this will go to a public hearing now, right, in December?
yes, for the tourist rooming part,
With just that.
because that'll,
Yeah,
yes. Yes, then I'll get the real one and read it
And then you're trouble
and see
again.
if the C and Ds line up and all that, because I went to D and it wasn't there. Okay. There was no C. All right.
Way to your next agenda item, which is, you were there last week,
Yes,
correct?
yes. It was interesting how the BOA did that, and then when you read, the person's excuse was unbelievable. Like I forgot to turn the page over, so then you look at he talked
You gotta start from the beginning, because we don't know who his or her.
The Smith
whoever is.
one.
Okay.
that went against us. That we took his license, so this would be the Smith one.
Okay.
So he fills this out and says the form is bad because he signed the front of it. Okay, but you turn it over, somebody drew it in, which is his drawing. He wrote, my wife, Michelle, and I operate a tourist rooming. Everything's right under it. Here's what you have to do. He says he didn't read that.
Was
How
that
did
when,
you-
was that when he came to us?
No,
Or
this
this
is
is
for the
after?
BOA.
Oh, gotcha.
So then you read that and you go like, you filled the form out, but you didn't read the rest of it. I mean, so that right there put him in a bad light to me. Well, plus he didn't show up. But the other one is, we did not give him 2 warnings, and that's what they based their stuff on. So what they did is they gave him his permit back, but they couldn't give him the CUP. They couldn't give him the conditional use. Then they actually almost tried to waive the fees, but
That didn't happen.
that didn't happen.
And I have secured an attorney because the interests of this committee and the Board of Adjustment are adverse. Her name is Catherine, I'm gonna butcher this last name, Gutenkunst.
Oh, jeez.
She's from Axley. Very good law firm that does a lot of land use stuff. And so she will be representing the Board of Adjustment. And on one hand, perhaps giving them good advice so they make more informed decisions, but on the other hand, defending their decisions.
Because they're finding the fact that I don't think I got that. This is all from MSA when they were doing it there. And I
Yeah,
thought,
one of the pieces of feedback that I received was that they want somebody from my office there. When their interests are not adverse to this committee, then that's no problem. But when the interests are adverse to this committee, then on a variance where nothing has come through this committee, I could certainly go there but not on a appeal of this committee's decision.
okay.
Yeah, that's scheduled for November 30th.
So are they currently able to operate them?
The Blue Rock Quarry is.
No, the Blue Lark. Oh, these guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they got it back right away that day. Here's your permit. God, yeah,
So
they're gonna lose tens of thousands of dollars, but it isn't, we're not doing it for money. I mean, you read their outcome and you just go like, what meeting was he at when he came to ask for all this? And how did you fill this all out? And not know what it says.
that was the pharmacist on Amber
Yeah.
Lake, remember, and he admitted
Yeah.
the violation. He had 3 variances in front of BOA last month. One was for a non-conforming retaining wall, 2 was for the original tourist swimming house permit, and the 3rd was for the CUP that was denied here. And so he got approval of the original permit and the retaining wall. The CUP was denied at BOA.
But they use that, that's where I found that in our other one, where they used the 2 warnings. You didn't give us 2 warnings, so I can do it. So that's what they base their decision on.
Warning was a denial of your CUP.
Well, they can't give a CUP, so that was all right, but
Chairman O'Connell, do you want to go through the ordinance for Board of Adjustment?
that. I don't know if we have to go through that whole ordinance, do we, or not?
Only a couple pages.
It's only a
I can
couple
just go
pages.
through.
Let's just look at that again.
Claire, can you bring that up, please?
Which is it?
There you go. So you all asked for this at the last meeting. This is within our code, chapter 2 of our administrative code, article 5 or article 4. So membership, there's 5 members with 2 alternatives. Currently, yes, we have 5 members with 2 alternatives. One is a riparian landowner. We know that membership is consistent with state statute 59-694. The next section, they do receiver per diem. Our costs, particularly for administrative appeal, are based upon the cost of BOA. So our variance fee, for example, is $750. If you think about the $100 per diem and then staff time, we're probably losing money, but it is what it is. Conflict of interest. If there's a member that has a direct personal or relational connection with the applicant, they're to recuse themselves. Also, if the BOA member owns property within 300 feet of the applicant, they can't participate. The section 2-168. I know you brought this up, Kim. Nothing in this division shall be construed to give or grant to the Board of Adjustment the power or authority to alter or change zoning regulations, zones, districts, or the official maps. And that's reserved entirely for this committee. Next page, please. All records of BOA are within our zoning office and they're available for public inspection. Section 2-170, they can utilize staff, which they do quite a bit, for advice and assistance. Section 2-171, 2-year terms. We have a chairperson, secretary, and of course, corporation counsel shall be the legal counsel for the BOA. So there's that. And the next page. Section 2-172. All meetings are open to the public. They may call a closed session. It's pretty infrequent when they do that. Quorum, 3 members comprise a quorum, and we run into that a lot. They follow Robert's Rules of Order in terms of parliamentary procedure. And then powers and duties. This is important, section 2-175. They're provided, their powers and duties are provided by state law. And listed below are their powers to hear and decide appeals where it is alleged that there's an error, like a staff error or administrative error. To authorize variances. And to hear and decide appeals on the extension of building structures, setbacks. That's pretty common. A3. The next section, 2-169. Excuse me. Going backwards there. Number 4, I suppose. This is important to hear and decide taken by any persons agreed by an officer, department or board, which would be the Environmental Services Committee. And that's in fact what they're doing in November with Blue Rock Quarry. B, the Board of Adjustment may reverse or affirm wholly or partly, or may modify the order, requirement, or decision or determination appealed from, and make such, it may make such order, requirement, decision, or determination as ought to be made, and shall have all the powers of the officer from which the appeal is taken, and may issue or direct the issuance of a permit. Appeals shall be taken within a feasible time. We're really good about that. Usually when we get an application for administrative appeal, it's within the next month. Worst case scenario, it's 2 months. D, in the issuance of a variance, no variance shall have the effect of granting or increasing any use of the property, which is prohibited in that zoning district by this code. So in other words, they can't grant a variance to change the use. That last piece, section -2-177, this is something you brought up. We haven't been doing this. April of each year, the BOA shall submit a report of his activities during the preceding year to the Environmental Services Committee for transmittal to the County Board of Supervisors. So I'll put that on the work plan as something that needs to be done. We just haven't been doing this. So there's that.
To go into the conflicts, do we have to go into closed session or can we?
You mean about the person on the BOA?
Yeah,
I think we should go in closed session.
okay. Anybody else, anything?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay,
Second it.
seconded by Tracy, roll call. Doug,
Oh, yes.
Kim, yes. Tracy.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Brad, yeah. Note who's in here. Okay. You can't be in here.
See you, Doug.
I understand.
Shut the door.
So no November 15th ESC meeting, correct? Oh,
Correct.
okay.
So this is your last meeting with us, isn't it? Or do you
Yes, sir.
have December 1st? Yeah, with us.
Although I'd like.
December
to be
6th.
there, I'm not going to be. no.
You're not gonna show up anyway?
It'll be my last one too then.
It'll be your last.
Yes.
Well, Malia, you're next. There's nobody.
Finally, finally.
The feeling's mutual.
Hey, are you guys gonna go hang out on the
Coffee you got
playground?
there?
No, just water.
Oh, I was just checking to see if you had a cinnamon roll with your coffee. this morning.
Lady.
So yeah, December 6th is quite robust. We have a public hearing for a rezone for Nick Walton. Remember that, Kim?
Yep.
Tim has a list of, because he's conducting an ordinance audit. I'll bring my notes and I'll invite him to watch this meeting as well to capture, unless you want to come join us and point some things out. We do have a nice list.
I can go through, yeah, I can bring him in there too.
If you want to visit with Tim, because he's got a nice list going on.
Yeah, I better, yeah.
We're really gonna try this ordinance amendment season to clean up contradictory or conflicting language or errors or flaws. Be a yeoman. Eric has the results of the groundwater study. That's in our work plan.
Okay,
Maybe the MOU for the Ice Age Trail Alliance really depends on if Malia has time.
That'll be pretty easy.
Okay. So put that on there.
let's put that, that'd be good just to get it out of the way.
We heard that the land appraisal for the Lorraine property will be complete, so you can examine that. So we're on task now for the shoreline and comprehensive ordinance for tourist rooming houses, right? So Malia will file a petition with the clerk by November 20th. That way we can have the public hearing on December 6th for recommendation to county board in December. You follow that?
Yeah, let's get that part done.
Am
I
I
think,
listening?
yeah, get that because then we'll go through all them smaller ones. Some of it's just text, I think. But I mean, if there's no C or D and a few things like that, that's, we can fix pretty,
I'm guessing the ordinance audit's gonna take a couple meetings,
yep.
but
But the tourist rooming one, we should get through to
yeah, as soon as possible.
settle that kind of up.
Mhm. So yeah, we're looking at 2 public hearings. The ordinance audit's gonna take some time. Eric's groundwater study is gonna take a little time. And then, of course, our forester.
Yeah, yes. What's on our work plan for December? Is there anything else that's usually on there?
That's everything.
That's everything that catches us up.
That's everything. By the way, Shabana prepared this agenda and going forward, she'll prepare all the others, future ones.
Sure.
Great job.
Do we need, I don't think we need any closed sessions on that next one, do we?
There might be a litigation update.
Oh, so we'd keep that on there, just, okay, for the litigation up, okay. Oh, well, if that appraisal comes too, we'll have to put both these back on. The same way, because if that appraisal comes, we'll have to,
Good point. Thank you.
we'll keep, yeah.
I'll notice it the same way it was on this one.
Yeah, so then we're safe with those, okay. I know tax update stuff on 216 yet, is there?
No, but
So we're
there's.
just sitting kind of high and dry.
At this week's Wisconsin Counties Forum, there was, Andy Phillips did talk about the lobbying effort to fix some
To
of those
fix it.
things, and so we're hoping that that's moving in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, because otherwise that hasn't changed.
Nope, they're just lobbying the state now.
Yeah, to fix it. So it isn't a 5-year deal and stuff. I read that too. Okay. And we're gonna let Antler Lake sit for now. Is that what we decided, kind of?
Antler Lake property.
Tim Smith.
The Smith, we're gonna let that sit for now. Because of the perfect storm.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Anyone have anything else? Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Agenda, I didn't